Be mindful of how we use social media. It's not just about the platforms themselves.
To the preservation of the national unity and democratic stability.
Water is life, water is an essential service that we must have to carry out the residents.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also form the bedrock of humanitarian development.
Hello there, this is specially welcoming you to the Reporter on Global Television. I'm Uyag Mofwebe, in for my colleague Anieche Patrick. It is midweek already and so much has already happened in the world of news. We, however, begin with politics, where the All Progressives Congress, APC, has begun the sale of expression of interest and nomination forms for various political offices ahead of the 2027 general elections in Abuja. Our political correspondent, Ubong Usoro, who tracked the exercise, now reports.
The sale of expression of interest and nomination forms is a key requirement in line with the guidelines of the Independent National Electoral Commission for aspirants seeking to contest in party primaries. Speaking to journalists, Deputy National Chairman, North of the APC, Ali Bukar Dalori, said the party is providing a level playing ground for all interested aspirants to obtain the forms.
We are opening it for everybody that wants to contest this democracy. So that's why we are selling the forms now for everyone who is interested in contesting to come and buy and purchase his form.
Also speaking, Charles Ogwai, an aspirant from Enugu North, said he is submitting himself to the party's internal process and expressed confidence in the APC.
Getting this form was not that difficult like we thought it would be, because yesterday we were just waiting to be able to acquire the form. But as you can see, I'm already done today and I have my forms.
Another aspirant, Ibrahim Modibo, said he believes the party offers Nigerians a credible choice ahead of the 2027 elections.
My way is to ensure adequate and to ensure full representation of each and every member of my constituency. That's how I intend to do it. Each and every one of them needs to be heard. What are your travails? What are your immediate needs?
Meanwhile, Victor Chukwuemeka, who is vying for a seat in the House of Representatives from Delta State, said his ambition is driven by the desire to represent the interest of young Nigerians.
One thing I tell people in the first place is that party has never been a problem that we are facing in this country. Our major problem are the people that are in political parties. I see party as a vehicle that transports you to your destination of service. Not actually that the vehicle is the problem, but the people.
As political activities gradually build up ahead of 2027, attention is now shifting to how parties manage their internal processes and present candidates capable of gaining public trust. Ubong Usoro, Global TV News.
Well, apparently a lot is happening already. Tonight we are joined by Ubong Usoro, who has a handle on these political developments to provide us some context and perspective. Ubong, we're delighted to have you on the program.
Thank you so much.
Apparently so much is jumping off in the political space already. APC appears to be setting the pace in terms of transactional politics, if you like. I mean, we saw people expressing interest there, of course, cash exchanging hands and all of that. Help us understand what's going on at this point in time.
Yeah, I think that looking at the INEC timetable, all political parties are between now and the 1st of, after this month, April, May, June, the 1st of June, to be done with sales of forms and submission of forms. So it's just a 1 month period.
Right. Looks like it's tight schedule.
Yeah, so it is. So parties must, be able to keep to that. And APC has shown leadership because they've gone ahead to do it. But one thing also we have to notice that APC has not changed the forms. The prices of the forms they sold 4 years ago. Right. It's the same. Presidency 100 million, governorship 50 million. Remember there was this thing that was going on there, the rumor that presidency was going to be 200 million, but the party said no. So they've maintained what was done 4 years ago. And I think for some Nigerians, they've said that is good. And also for youths, women, and people with disabilities, you have 50% discount. So if you are between the ages of 18 to 40, if you are buying for governorship, you buy the form at 25 million and not for 50 million.
So that's a 50% discount?
Yeah, 50% discount for women, people with disabilities and young persons. So I think, and we saw so many persons. In fact, the person I spoke with yesterday, Victor Chukwemeka, is vying for House of Representatives in his, federal constituency. Federal constituency, Delta State, about 6 persons purchased the form. Right, so the party may be going for direct primaries at the end of the day if they cannot get consensus. So I think this will prove if the APC is a party that will stand the test of time. That's after Tinubu, because after this, if some of the parties are already threatening that if they cannot get the ticket, they may look at other political parties. And some of these political parties are already available to be offered as a platform.
All right. Interesting. But 2 more issues to look at before we let you off football. Monies have exchanged hands a lot, and we're going to see that happen in the next couple of days or even next few weeks. You talk to politicians almost every other day of your life. Of course, that's part of your work. Does this not, again, accentuate how pivotal money is in politics in Nigeria?
Yeah, money is very essential to our politics, and it's very sad. But also, politics everywhere is costly. You just have to be clear about that. But ours is that we run a system where it is even very difficult to have the money. So if you want to represent your people, like I was talking to my guest yesterday, if you do not have somebody sponsoring you, or if you're not, as a young person, you are 23, 24, how do you get 25 million naira? And our minimum wage is about 70,000. So it's unrealistic. For me, I feel these forms, the highest form should be maybe presidency sold for 1 million naira. But also the political parties have the argument. This is the time they get the funds to run the party until the next election cycle.
Interesting. But on the final note, let's look at the opposition now, because like I said, the APC has taken the lead. The opposition, for the most part, appears to have so much of conflict, obviously so much of conflict, whether you're looking at the PDP, the Labour Party, or what's still the ADC now. Do you see this sort of process that the APC has adopted, which of course we have seen play out so far, also happening, in the shortest possible time within these other parties, on the opposition side? Of course, their own prices, for want of better words, may not be as high as what the APC is offering right now, but is there any chance that will happen anytime soon in the camp of the opposition?
Yes, it's true. I think the PDP should have their own next week, because they have the timetable. The party organizing secretary wrote out the timetable.
That's for the PDP.
For the PDP, same with the ADC. I've also seen the financial secretary of the Labour Party sends me a copy of theirs too. So every other political party, because you must meet up the timeline. If you do not, you will not be able to put forward a candidate in 2027. So even when you just do that, so that people can be placeholders at the end of the day, just to fulfill our righteousness. So this month we're going to be seeing a lot of buying of forms, but will it generate the kind of interest as in the APC? Maybe apart from maybe ADC, PDP, do not have this kind of interest.
Quite interesting. I'm tempted to ask just one final question, because whether you like it or not, politicking has started right now. And we see, for the most part, there's a lot of traffic in the direction of, and I dare say in favor of the APC. Does this already, is this indicative of how that the APC is probably holding the aces or taking the lead right now in terms of the numbers?
APC is a ruling party. Everybody wants to associate with those who are in power. And in anywhere in Nigeria, when you are contesting under the platform of the APC, you are not an underdog. You are a front-line contestant, even if nobody knew your name before, and I just came and they say, I am the governorship candidate of the APC. People will want to say, because they know that the party has pedigree as a ruling party. And this was the same thing we used to see with the PDP. So if tomorrow the ADC or Labour Party becomes the ruling party, I bet you see the same traffic. It's the Nigerian.
I can imagine. And of course, politicians on the other side can't wait to also take the reins and become the leading political party being the PI in government. I'd like to say a big thank you to you,
so much.
Obon, for taking our time to join us here on the program. Well, let's now turn to the legislature, where the Senate has passed the Nigeria Police Trust Fund Amendment Bill for a second reading, setting the stage for a major overhaul of police funding and operations. The proposed bill, sponsored by Senate leader Ogbeyemi Bamidele, seeks to repeal the existing 2019 law and establish a more robust framework to finance and support the Nigeria Police Force. Our National Assembly correspondent, Aniete Patrick, has more.
Senator Bamidele described the bill as a critical response to persistent challenges in policing, including poor funding, outdated equipment, and weak infrastructure and low personnel morale. He noted that rising threats such as insurgency, kidnapping, and cybercrime require a modern, well-equipped police force. He further stated that the key provision of the bill is proposed increase in statutory allocation to the Police Trust Fund from 0.5% to 1% revenue from the Federation account, adding that the funding model will also draw from grants, private sector contributions, and government interventions.
Without security, governance collapses, economic growth stagnates, and social cohesion deteriorates across our nation today.
The bill, however, generates several concerns from lawmakers over the implications of the increase, transparency, and accountability in managing the fund. Senator Abdul Ningi, representing Bauchi Central, wanted that multiple statutory deductions could significantly reduce funds available for sharing among tiers of government. Senator Abba Moro, the Senate's minority leader, backed the bill, stressing that poor funding has left police officers outmatched by criminals.
Mr. President, when you look at number 4 on the submission of the Senate leader, 1% of total revenue accruing to the Federation account, that's really huge. In addition, allocated development levies under relevant tax laws, which you had passed recently. These are statutory allocation.
Mr. President, you will recall that one of the problems associated with policing in Nigeria is the fact of lack of adequate funding.
Also speaking on the urgency and weighing in on the legal framework, Senator Mohammed Mongono, the Chief Whip, said the proposal remains constitutional if backed by the Act of the National Assembly. The President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, in his reaction, emphasized that the bill goes beyond funding, aiming to address structural inefficiencies in the administration of the trust fund. He assured that strict oversight would be put in place to ensure transparency and prevent misuse. The bill was subsequently referred to the Senate Committee on Police Affairs, which is expected to report back within 2 weeks.
Any act, the Section 80 says, any act passed in line with Section 81 of the Constitution. Now, listen to Section 81.
With strong argument on both sides, the bill now moves to the Senate's Committee on Police Affairs for further scrutiny as lawmakers weigh the urgent need to strengthen policing against concerns over funding pressures and accountability. From the National Assembly, Aniete Patrick, Global TV News.
Well, thank you so very much, Aniete, as always, for following through with all of these developments for us. Of course, there's no doubt in the fact that conversations around enhanced or improved policing and the elements around making that happen has been very topical, but now it's at the legislative level where operationalizing several of those factors has become a front burner issue. Of course, it has to do with police operations and funding of the police as it stands today. We are going to hopefully cycle back to Aniete Patrick so she can help us establish some context and perspective regarding these developments. Apparently, like we highlighted in that story for you, the bill has survived, so to say, a second reading. So we'll see what happens going forward, and that's the point at which Aniete will intervene and help us understand what the development is all about. And hopefully we can take one more story from Aniete tonight. In the meantime, however, a strong wave of advocacy has hit the nation's capital, Abuja, as women's groups intensify pressure on the National Assembly for the passage of the Special Seats Bill aimed at increasing female representation in governance. The Coalition of Nigerian Women staged a peaceful protest and petition drive in Abuja, demanding urgent legislative action on the bill. Samuel Odi now reports.
Scores of women from various organizations marched to the National Assembly, insisting on immediate attention to what they described as a long-standing imbalance in political representation. The demonstrators, under the Coalition of Nigerian Women, submitted a formal petition urging lawmakers to fast-track the passage of Special Seats Bill. Coalition leader Iren says the bill is not a privilege, but a corrective measure needed to generate fair and inclusive representation across all levels of government.
I am here today to formally submit all the petitions that we have collected across Nigeria. 3 weeks ago, we went to every constituency office and houses of House of Rep members to submit a petition demanding an immediate passage of the Special Seats Bill.
The national president of the National Council of Women's Society, Edna, called on lawmakers to show urgency and political will in addressing the demand. Edna noted that protests reflect growing frustration among Nigerian women, stressing that national development cannot be achieved without inclusive leadership. She urged the National Assembly to act swiftly and ensure the bill is passed without delay.
Other countries have passed that stage, like Rwanda. There are about 67% now, of which Nigerian women, we don't even want to go that far. Let us get the 35% and above, but now we are about just 4% representation in Nigeria, and it's not healthy for the entire nation.
With mounting pressure from women's group and formal petition before lawmakers, all eyes are now on the National Assembly on the 5th of Special Seats Bill, which, if it gets through, could reshape women's participation in Nigerians' political space. Samuel Odi, Global TV News.
Incidentally, Samuel Odi joins us on the program now to help us put this in perspective. Samuel, it's a delight to have you join us here on The Reporter. Well, that was a galaxy of women apparently pushing for increased women or female representation in public leadership. Help us understand what exactly their prayer is.
Thank you so much, Uyi, for, it's always good to have conversations on The Reporter to give more light on what really happened. So on the field, the women were only asking for space up to like 35% for women to be fully represented in both houses, that's the National Assembly. And they said they've submitted petitions for the past 3 weeks and they are still awaiting response from the National Assembly, but nothing has been done yet. So they marched to ask for their petitions to be looked into and let the bill be passed. So basically, that was what the march for today was. They said they didn't come out for violence. They didn't come out to, throw tantrums. They just came to, seek for the approval and the passage of the bill.
Of course, I'd like to ask you this. Does it look like they got a return on the time and the energy they invested in this exercise? Was there any response that you would say came close to commensurate with the efforts they put into this demonstration?
Well, they just came out to submit petitions, and again, they rallied a bit around, and then they got a spokesperson who says that the National Assembly are both looking into their petitions, and then they're going to respond to them as swift as possible. But yet, as at the time we filed this report, and up to now, we've not gotten any specific report saying that whether the bill has been passed or not.
I'll ask you this. I mean, you spent some time earlier today talking with one of these women who also is pushing the frontiers in terms of some sort of improved, or if you like, inclusive participation in a democratic process. Do you think, for someone who has followed this process for a while now, that there are chances that things are looking up for women in terms of how much role they play in Nigeria's public leadership space?
at the Nigerian political space now, I think they were chanting "No woman, no nation" and all of that. But now, I think, given the fact that an election year is upon us, I think there is an avenue for more women to come out and participate, get tickets, and also contest for these elective positions instead of waiting for probably appointments or not actually getting what they really want. But they really need to come out and also be more involved with what is currently going on in governance and also to safeguard democracy, because that was what they were agitating for. So a couple of women have actually picked up tickets and they are looking to run for office under several parties, as they mentioned. So we're looking at how, if Nigerians would deem them fit to, you know, vote them into power, and also for the women to also play their part in terms of upholding democracy and showing corruption and just being true leaders.
We have been truly blessed with your time with us here on the program today. We do hope you have a great evening ahead of you. We're delighted, by the way, as we now revert to our earlier story on the program, to be joined by Aniete Patrick, who has been following critical parliamentary developments for us from the National Assembly, particularly this story that borders squarely on Police Trust Fund, which has been a long, drawn-out debate. But it looks like things are looking up now for not just the police system in Nigeria, but of course for the Nigerian people, because a country with an effective policing system is a country that is on its way to winning the war against every form of criminality. Anita, I'd like to say a big thank you to you for finding out time to join us in spite of your busy schedule today on the program. I guess one point to start off from, since our time is limited, is to say, how much of progress would you say we have made so far with this bill? Is it satisfactory that the bill has killed second reading now on the floor of the Senate?
Much. It's a whole lot. The police have actually so far been for them to have this pass for second reading is actually a good achievement, because I remember at an encounter where the police had to gather so much sleepover in front of the National Assembly, clamoring for this fact.
Looks like we're suffering a bit of audio drag there with Aniete, but obviously she was making a very strong point, saying that progress has been made essentially with this, given where we're coming from. And just to be clear, there's a history of some kind to this development. We had seen the police push this narrative over time, trying to ensure that this issue was not relegated to the background or swept under the carpet, as they say. We had seen even retired police officers who had marched very peacefully to the National Assembly. But from what we are seeing so far, for whatever it's worth, at the very minimal, we can say that the response is becoming more positive by the day. And with this development of knowing that the bill has not scaled second reading, it is apparently the hope of not just the Nigerian police force, but the Nigerian people, that this will eventually succeed and Nigeria will wind up with a more effective, more vibrant, and more robust policing system in this country. We'd like to say a big thank you to our reporters tonight, Ubongu Soro, Samuel Odi, and indeed Aniete Patrick, who in the face of a very tight schedule this midweek has also found time to help us beat this conversation into context. Of course, we're grateful to all of our viewers in Nigeria and around the world who have joined us here on The Reporter tonight. And that's, well, all for this installment of the program. Please be sure to subscribe and engage with Global Television across social media platforms using our Global TV, NG, as well as other handles now showing on your screen. My team and I are grateful for watching. This is Uyi Agmofwebe saying, make the most of the rest of the week.
Be mindful of how we use social media. It's not just about the platforms themselves.
To the preservation of the national unity and democratic stability.
water is life, water is an essential service. Then we put ourselves to carry out the residents.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also form the bedrock of humanitarian development.